Students, in our further sequential lecture on the essay Seven Rules of Writing by V.S. Naipual. So, in this essay, as Naipual was has discussed about some of the tips for writing, some of the rules for the aspiring writers who must adopt according to Naipual. And earlier, as he has said that one should follow a certain kind of formula to express himself as a writer, and one should adopt his own style and his own ways of expression through his writing. And even when one's become confident about his writing, then he should experiment, and he even can break the rules of writing if necessary. But the sole aim of the writer should be to impress the readers, because reader is the most important thing. Because whatever a writer is going to write or express through his writing, that must be uh, appealing to the reader. So it does not matter what kind of rules a writer has adopted uh, while writing something, but the most important thing is that whatever he has written, that written material should be impressive, should be more appealing, and that can even change certain thought process in reader. So further, he is mentioning 7 rules for writing for the beginners, and through a list of 7 rules, he is now prescribing certain kind of rules. So what are these? What are these rules? Number 1, he is saying, I number 1, do not write long sentences. The first rule is Naipual mentioning here. Do not write long sentences. A sentence should not have more than 10 or 12 words. So he is saying that a sentence should not contain more words, more than 10 or 12 words, because small sentences are easy to understand and helpful to explain the meaning. Uh, while long sentences might confuse the normal reader. So first of all, the beginner writers, he should keep in mind the first foremost important thing, that he should not write long sentences. He must uh, contain his sentences in small he actually he should write small sentences, so that the normal and average reader can understand them fully. And the one thing is also important, that when if he writes small sentences, it becomes easy for him to explain the real meaning of the words. Now next, number 2, each sentence should make a clear statement. It should add to the statement that went before. A good paragraph is a series of clear linked statements. Here he is saying that each sentence should make a clear statement. So each of his sentences should be more clear in terms of their meaning. So it should add to the statement that went before. And whatever he is adding, what kind of sentence he is adding, that should be linked to his earlier statement and in his further statement. To describe a thought or incident, it is necessary to write it in order. Sentences should be expressing the thoughts in successive order. So that will be more comprehensive. Number 3, do not use big words. So the third rule he is prescribing is that not writing big words. If your computer tells you that your average word is more than 5 letters long, there is something wrong. The use of small words compels you to think about what you are writing. Even difficult ideas can be broken down into small words. So, he is suggesting here that the use of big words can be difficult. It can lead to the it can lead the readers to be confused, and the use of small words actually becomes more easy for understanding the ideas of the writer. Even difficult ideas can be broken down into small words. So the writer must keep in mind that he must use small words, not the big words. And this is for why? Because for clear expression, comprehension, and a natural interpretation, most probably small words should be used. Number 4 is never use words whose meaning you are not sure of. So, an aspiring writer, a beginner, should not use the words of which meanings he is not aware of. If you break this rule, you should look for other work. So, he is uh, uh, recommending here that if you not follow, if you cannot follow this rule, you must quit this job of writing, and you must look for another kind of profession. So this is perhaps the most important rule for the writing. So he is saying that to follow this rule is indispensable for a writer, otherwise his statement may direct his thoughts in wrong direction, because what kind of words he is choosing for his writing, he must know about the meaning of those words. If the meaning of a sentence is to make clear and effective, proper and suitable, words are to be applied. So proper words and suitable words need to be applied. Imaginary or probably words may interpret wrongly what you want to convey. So the proper words should be used by the writer, otherwise they can be interpreted in different way. So they will not be able to convey the real meaning, the real purpose of the writer. Naipual here clearly states, if an aspiring writer breaks this rule, he must adopt some other profession, not this writing. He must look for another work. Number 5, a beginner should avoid using adjectives except those of color, size, and number. Use as few adverbs as possible. So here he is saying that a beginner writer should avoid the use of a lot of adjectives. So beginners should avoid using adjectives, but he can use adjectives only those of color, size, or number. So he must use very few adjectives or as few adjectives and adverbs as possible. Number 6, avoid the abstract. Always go for the concrete. So the sixth rule he is suggesting here, that avoid the abstract, always go for the concrete. It means to say that always use the writing material based on real facts, not the abstract, not on abstract ideas. So never use imaginary data or material or facts based on probability. So all those abstract things should be avoided. For why? Because the reliability and reputation of the writing is can depend only to follow this rule. It is the necessary requirement. Always write only what is real and true things. So always go for the concrete and true real facts. Number 7, every day for 6 months at least practice writing in this way. Small words, short, clear, concrete sentences. So beginners should practice for 6 months at least, every day, writing small words, short, concrete sentences. It may be awkward, but it's training you in the use of language. It may even be getting rid of the bad language habits you picked up at the university. You may go beyond these rules after you have thoroughly understood and mastered them. So here, number 7, the rule number 7 is that an aspiring writer should maintain his practice of writing for at least 6 months, and every day he should write very short, clear, small sentences. So this is a kind of training of his training of the writer, and it may seem a little awkward, but it is the most important practice that, and it can also help for the writer by getting rid of his ill habits which he has picked up during his university time. So after suggesting this, Naipual also suggests that that an aspiring writer may go beyond these 7 rules which he has already mentioned, and after thoroughly understanding of them and mastering on these rules, so he can further move ahead also in his writing. So these are the 7 basic principles, or we can say 7 basic rules or tips for writing which Naipual has recommended for the beginners. So first is, do not write long sentences. Second is, each sentence should make a clear statement. Third is, do not use big words. Fourth is, never use words whose meaning you are not sure of. Fifth is, a beginner should avoid using a lot of adjectives, so he should avoid. Sixth is the avoid the abstract, always go for the concrete. Seventh is that every day for 6 months at least practice writing in this way. So these are the basic principles or rules of writing which he has mentioned. So I hope you have understood this. Now that's enough for today.